welcome our final keynote speaker of the evening, a pioneering voice who bridges science with spirituality to help people rediscover clarity, alignment, and inner transformation. With more than 3 decades of experience, she's a respected metaphysical clinician known for blending evidence-based insight with intuitive wisdom, guiding thousands through life transitions and personal evolution. A celebrated veteran radio host and the creator of the Wicks of Wisdom, she's brought soulful, transformative conversations and practices to audiences across the nation. Please welcome to the stage, Dr. Linda Salvin.
Love who you are, all you are, because you are love. When I'm walking down the street, I say hi to those I meet. I love who they are, all they are, because they are love.
Hi. Good evening, everybody. I am Dr. Linda Salvin, and a lot of you probably don't know my name, and after tonight you will, and what you do with it is up to you. I'm going to thank Aditi and Dr. Raul Honda for inviting me for the 3rd time to be a keynote speaker with Forttuna. And since this is your first for most of you, I do want to tell you that when I first was solicited a 1.5 years ago, I thought it was a bunch of crap, and I deleted the email 4 times. I thought, because I get solicited all the time with some organization telling me, you know, I won this, but pay that, and whatever. And when I finally read the email one more time, I looked at it, and I knew it was different. And I thought, okay, I'll have a little appointment. And that appointment turned into filling out the forms. I won Businesswoman of the Year in Entertainment and Media, even though I have a bachelor's in health education, a master's in public health epidemiology, and a PhD in metaphysics. So I really belonged in health, but I ended up in business because I'm an entrepreneur, and I ended up in the business world. So like anything else in life, you start out over here, but you end up over there, and that's the story of my life. It's kind of a spiral, and it got me here. And now I'm here talking to you. I did this last night, and I know there's some people who were here last night, so forgive me if I repeat myself, but I can't change my story in 24 hours. So I can only alter the way I present it. There's so much I want to talk about. The keynotes before me have got me really thinking, because I come from a very clinical background. Epidemiology, of course, is study of epidemics and diseases, demographics and statistics, and I did a brain tumor research project at USC on meningioma, and that's a brainstem problem. And I did Agent Orange research at University of Michigan, where I was a student, and comparing problems that the vets came back with and how their kids inherited disease and cancer as a result of the exposure. I mean, I've been through all the clinical stuff, but that wasn't my calling. I ended up going from epidemiology. I loved environmental health and looking at the environment and what we inhale and what we ingest and what we absorb in our skin and what makes life work on an environmental level, and how it affects us as human beings. And one of my jobs in 1980 was working for an insurance company, and I was sitting in an airport with my then partner at the airport in San Jose, California, which is Northern California. I said, doesn't the plane look like it's going to crack there? And he thought I was just tired, but an hour later the plane cracked in half when we were coming in for a landing. We crash landed, and my life changed forever. I am a plane crash survivor, and I had an out-of-body experience that day, and that day I became very psychic. I was out of my body for 4 months, and most people back then, pre-internet, which was 1996, this was 1981. I'm 50 years out of college. I'll be 72 years old in a month. So life kind of goes fast after a while, but I still feel like I'm a kid. And I don't walk as well as I did, which is why I need help getting up these steps these days. But life took some turns, and it was very spiritual, very psychic, very out of body, very woo-woo, and that's just not what goes on in a clinical setting for the most part. It's become more and more acceptable talking about alternative methods and methodology and alternative and integrative health. Everybody's now a life coach. Everybody's the coach, the coach, the coach. It's all the catchwords of today's generation. I was just texting one of my patients. He's in Cairo. He left California, or actually Washington, the same day I left California to come here to Dubai on Monday, got here Tuesday, and he's been very challenged with some horrible emotional problems, and as a metaphysician, I go internally. We're talking about diabetes earlier. Well, what is diabetes? Yeah, it's pancreatic, and yes, it has to do with sugars, and yes, it has to do with the blood and everything, but why? Well, I look at it metaphysically, and metaphysically is it's sadness, it's depression. We have to produce more sugar to bring the sweetness back into our lives. So I go deeper. People come to me, doctors, MDs, doctors of osteopath, chiropractors send me their patients when they get to a certain point with certain protocols, and I take it to the next level and finish the job. I kind of put together the last part of the puzzle, because that's what metaphysics is. How did I get into metaphysics? After the plane crash, I became psychic and spiritual, and I was out there trying to find God and the meaning and what was going on. It took me 6 years, from 1981, when I was 27 years old, till I was in my 30s before I started to calm down. PTSD and coming off of a plane crash, it's not like getting in a car accident or any other trauma. It's something that you just don't get over. You don't get over it. But I just remember always repeating definitions in my mind that I'd learned in college. The definition of epidemiology is the study of epidemics and how I'm going to help people, blah, blah, blah. Or the Department of Health and Education and Welfare would always say the definition of health is the state of mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. No one ever talked about spiritual health in school. University of Michigan never talked about it. #1 school of public health at the time. We beat out Harvard and Yale, Stanford, UCLA, Berkeley. We were #1. Okay. Where's the solution? We've got facts, we've got statistics, we've got all the scholars, but the people are still sick. What's going on? I was forced, I was moved, I was altered into a different consciousness. You want to talk about the 5th dimension? I think I've been to the 10th. I've been in a dimension that most people don't reach in life, because I know 2 or 3 people that speak at my level, and one of them is a chiropractor who referred the man I was just referring to, who's in Cairo. And I talked to him today, and he gave me permission to use him as one of the samples of what I do for work. This man's a very wealthy man, very artistic, creative, well-established human being, but got involved with a very toxic relationship to the point it was literally killing him. And I don't want to get into details, and I'm not going to start giving you some of the physical aspects of what's gone on with him, especially before dinner. But since August, I've been helping this man, along with the other doctor, and we bookend. And I said, you can call me whenever you want. I was on the phone with him 3 o'clock in the morning the other day. It's a constant evolution. When you really want to heal, you know, it's become a catchword. I'm a healer. I'm getting into my manifestation. All that catchword stuff. He's in the tombs right now. He's over in Cairo. Well, that's what, 3,500 years old, 5,000 years old. We're not doing anything different. We're just taking it to the next generation like we talk about. We just keep recycling and hoping we get another answer. John Lennon once said, you know, you can't say anything that hasn't been said. He's right. It's just the universal language we just keep saying over and over again until somebody wakes up and gets it. So this person has been under my care, along with a few other practitioners, and has gone from the darkest depths of hell into he's happy, he's singing, he's playing guitar on these trips, and he's come alive again. Because there's hope, and because there was faith, and because he was willing to do the work. Not only did I end up not knowing what to do after this accident many years ago, at which time I suffered 2 other horrible near-death experiences. One was getting hit by a fire truck, was out of my body again, and then I totaled a car in 1984. I had the white light experience. I was given the choice to live or die. There are more dimensions than what we see physically. We're only in the physical being. Spiritually, there's a whole nother life. That's a whole nother world. So I got into spiritual health, the holistic health. I do DNA nutrition, which is all the epigenetics on how to treat the genetic makeup of who we are with a certain product that I help promote. If anybody's interested, you take it 3 years and you want to have a kid, that child is not going to inherit what you've inherited from your mother and father. It's almost impossible. I've been on it now 5 years. My whole life has changed. I have cardiovascular disease from both sides of the family. My mother died of lung cancer, and my father He passed away 6 months ago Tuesday. So I'm still in grief. I'm still in shock. I'm still in like, what am I going to do without my dad? You know, I mean, it's a roller coaster. It's hard. I was in Mumbai as a keynote for Forttuna back in May, and he had just hit hospice, and I said, you're going to die now, or you wait till I get back? He waited, and then he died. And it's been hard. It's been extremely hard. Loss is never easy. I don't care if it's a puppy or a pollywog. You know, you lose a human being and the strength and the mentor of life. The whole foundation breaks. I don't care how strong any of us are. I deal with people like the guy that's in Cairo right now, and the level of his accomplishments and wealth and worldly adventures. But they trust, people like that trust me because I have soul, I have answers, I have a gift. I didn't go looking for it, it found me. That gift, the song that was playing as I walked up the steps is called Love Who You Are. I wrote that song in 1991. It was produced by Mark Williams, who's the son of John Williams, our conductor, who's known all around the world. And that song now, as we speak, is in the hands of a Academy Award winning, not Academy, sorry, wrong field, Grammy Award-winning producer, and it's going to hit the market next year with professional singers as opposed to me singing the song. So the journey opened me up more creatively. I walked away from 2 record deals along the way because I was pulled to help people metaphysically. I was pulled to understand the spiritual side of life and fulfilled that definition of healthcare, mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. Well, if I found out if we work on the spirit, the disease goes away. You don't have to drink and overeat and be addicted to sugar and pot and coke or fentanyl or whatever's killing anybody today. If you fill up, you don't have that hole that hurts, that you gotta find a way to numb yourself. That's spirit. John Belushi, who was the famous comedian, died with a needle in his arm. Wealthy, famous, Hollywood, whoopee, but he was miserable. He was a drug addict. Why are people drug addicts? Because they're spiritually vacant. We all look great, dressed up, but how many people are addicted to something? Who's not smoking? Who's not snorting? Who's not doing something? Who can't wait to get home to take something? We all have an ism, I, self, me. But the spiritual side in healthcare and life, it'll balance so that you find your peace, contentment, your truth, your God self. Yeah, be still, for I am God. You don't talk about that in clinical environments. It's starting to come in. God is starting to show himself, and more doctors are admitting that, hey, there's something, people are out of their body during surgery. They witness the surgery. They hear the doctors under the anesthesia. Yeah, all the stories, they're real. I've seen the other side. I've been out of my body. But I learned how to integrate it. It took a long time. Integration is a long, hard process. It didn't happen overnight. It's not like watering a plant and the leaves pop up. It's not that. It took 6 years just to start to feel normal again. But I didn't know where to go, so I just turned it over and said, what do you want me to do? And all these things happened. I ended up in radio. I became the #1 radio psychic in 1994. This is before the internet. I was on AM and FM. And I had to break ground with the FCC, Federal Communications. Wasn't allowed to talk about what I talked about on the radio, but we made it happen. Was that called intention, manifestation? No, it's just called hard work and a goal. You know, you got a goal, you want to do something, pray about it, it works. If you have something you believe in, go after it, make it happen. I was at the car dealership a week ago before I came in. I sold one car, bought another before I came to India a few months ago, and it was time for a checkup, and the little light above the mirror didn't go on when I opened the door, and I couldn't figure out what had happened, but I knew there was a switch, but I couldn't find it. It was on YouTube, and it was in the manual, and I looked at it, but I couldn't figure it out, and the door opened, the light wouldn't go on, so I took it, and the first service person said, oh, you got to leave your car for 3 days. We got to analyze it. I said, no, you don't. Went to the next one. They didn't like me. I became very bitchy because I knew I didn't need to leave my car for 3 days. Then the next one was going to pick it up while I go to Dubai and bring it back, but the timing was off. I said, you don't need to leave the car. So I went over to the sales guy who I've known for 20 years and bought out on me cars from him through the years. And finally I said, this isn't a sales problem, it's a service problem. So I found the manager of the sales department and I said, where is he? Found his office, walked in, he was on the phone. I said, is your name Patrick? He said, yes. I said, my name's Dr. Linda Salvin. I'm sure you've heard about me, and not always in pleasant terms. Because when I have something to say, I'll say it, and it's not always nice, but I get the job done. So I said, I have a problem with the light. He goes, where's your car? We walked across the lot. He opened the door. He went, boop, it was fixed. I mean, 2 seconds. He said, I had the same problem. I said, well, they need to identify it so the average intellect like us can figure it out. It did not need 3 days, but I wrote a long letter to his boss thanking him for getting out of his chair, fixing it, and resolving. And that's what we do in healthcare. That's what we do in life. I deal with I have a client in Hong Kong. He's going through selling a $100 million corporate venture. But his personal life and some of the relationships within that organization aren't what he needs in order for him to feel what he needs, self-worth, self-evident, confidently to really make this whole thing happen in the first quarter next year, which I'm helping him close. He's in the IT industry. And the only real thing I know about IT is that Steve Jobs was a customer of my father's when he was building Apple. And I was in college, and my dad said, Linda, the way of the future is computers. I said, okay. Well, here we are 50 years later, and everything's computers. Watches, digital, we're being streamed. It all starts and somebody takes an idea. My dad's company was number 58 on the NASDAQ, and they were called the innovators. But here we're all innovators. We all innovate in our own discipline of healthcare, medicine, clinical, legal, chiropractic, oncology, whatever the practice is as to why you're here, media, entertainment. We're here at Forttuna because we earned it. When I won last year, I was, 204 awards out of 880,000 people. Earlier, Dr. Honda came up and explained how many hundreds of thousands of people were scanned, and only 300 people last night and tonight are getting awards. Do you realize statistically that it's this much and we're that special? Is it odd or is it God? You earned it. You've had your blood, sweat, and tears. You didn't get here because you just watered a plant and it grew. You tumbled like I did. I've had 12 surgeries. I've had 3 near-death experiences. I'm in the middle of grieving over my dad. I showed up. And that's all you do in your career is you show up, you know. On radio for 20 years, I would take people's calls. What am I going to do about my relationship? My dog died, or am I going to get a promotion? Somebody earlier has changed her career, and she wanted to know if she's going to be successful. I said, you're already becoming successful. You're in it. It's not when it's going to happen. Don't forget about the journey getting there. She's in her 50s. I'm in my 70s. You got 20 years ahead of you just to make it happen. What are you worried about? You got this far. You know, I bring in faith, I bring in courage, I bring in God in everything I do because I saw God. I saw spirituality. I understood the definition of health being mental, physical, spiritual, and not merely the absence of disease. And when I started healing people, which came to me after I had emergency surgery in 1991, I had to have an emergency hysterectomy because I was bleeding to death and hemorrhaging, and I told the doctor I don't want to be a statistic. He said, well, you got a choice. You can be a statistic underground or above. That's how sick I was. But that surgery opened me up to becoming a healer. I took a schizophrenic with 26 personalities, MPD, multiple personality disorders, put it back into one. I have a gift, and I can share that gift with you. I share it on radio. I share it online. I share it in corporate situations. I share it with the guy over in Cairo on my phone because of technology or because people trust what I do. Not everybody likes me, not everybody believes, and a lot of it's woo-woo. A lot of the woo-woo through my radio career came a candle line called Wicks of Wisdom. Wicks of Wisdom works like a prescription for your soul. Yes, I do nutritional counseling and I have ideas, or you might have to go to the doctor and pharmacologically you need certain medications, but I've also learned that there's ways to heal without the pharmacies, without nutritionals, and without herbs. There's other ways to heal, and I've done it with candles. Candle power goes back to the days of Kabbalah. It's Santeria, it's Wicca, it's pagan, whatever word you want to use, there's ritual as long as you do it with good intentions. But I was trained in 1999. We were on TV in '08. Kris Jenner, the momager of the Kardashians, was my host at the time. I paid her. No one would hire her in Hollywood but me. And we got on TV. But the candles work to help people. The guy in Hong Kong, I burned the candles for him because it's cheaper for me to do the work than to ship. But every conflict he was dealing with, these obstacles, we did a couple of good luck power and money and success power, and all of a sudden the people that were giving him a hard time at work started to calm down. One actually quit, another got recruited to another company, so all the problems were taking care of itself without him really having to get as crazy as he was. Well, he was so overwhelmed. What do you do when you're overwhelmed? We all get crazy, we all get nervous. Nobody just walks on water. I haven't met anybody yet that's got a perfect nervous system. So he fixed the company structure, then we worked on his personal life with his wife and his kids and what was going on, and all of a sudden he had me speak on a Zoom with the attorney and a couple of their board members, and we worked out what I saw needed to be done over the next 6 weeks, and he's closing a $100 million deal. Couldn't have done it 5 months ago. He was too, as we say in Yiddish, vermischt, crazy, nuts, upset. You know, I will help you. I've had people get married. I had one client, the husband's a very big, prestigious health administrator, works with 126 hospitals in the United States. He's in charge of, quality control for all these hospitals, and his wife was ill. And he came to me, goes, Linda, I don't trust the doctors. I don't know what to do with her. And his wife's name is Linda. So I got her on the phone. I said, what's going on? Well, actually, this might upset the men, but women, she was bleeding as I was, and she needed a hysterectomy. She didn't want surgery. I did a healing, found out what was going on. We did some candles. The woman stopped bleeding. Until this day, 20 years later, she never had a hysterectomy. I had another woman who kept breaking out in hives. Couldn't figure out why she gained 50 pounds, broke out in hives, came to me for a healing. It's on my website, all the testimonies are there. And then I did a healing, and bottom line was she remarried the first guy she divorced. And once I said, you got to get out of the relationship, she lost the 50 pounds, the hives went away. It's after 3 years, the doctor started to give her creams and different treatments. It didn't work. It was emotional. It was spiritual. We forget that our disease can be from what we're feeling, what we're harboring, what we're suppressing. We're energy. Yeah, we've got the knowledge. Yeah, I can do statistics. I can do clinical work. I can do brain tumor research if I want to. I did it. I put together a drug abuse program in a university. Half the football team's on coke. You think they want to hear about prevention? No, nobody cares. Health behavior, health education. We're saying the same thing over and over and over again. Once in a while, you get 1% that will listen. But what I want to do now is I want to take a break from the podium, and I want to come out onto the sand, and I want to listen to you. I'm going to come up and pick people randomly. Unless you have a question and you want to raise your hand, like, do you want to tell me what you do if you're having a nervous breakdown? How do you run to the bathroom when you're being scolded at work, or you know you made some big mistake with the financial report and you got busted? Or what if you find out that you misdiagnosed somebody? My dad was misdiagnosed. I took the whole thing. I got 490 pages from Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles as a result of 2 doctors believing I was right. The cardiologist and the urologist said, Linda, you're right. This other doctor messed up. You think the AMA said, okay, we're going to do something? No. I wanted that other doctor's license. Stanford University even had a paper written on this medication causing a certain problem. Nobody cares. Nobody listens. But I listen. I hear you. I listen quickly. In 10 seconds, I know what you need. Most people out there, we can talk and talk and talk, but most people don't want to listen. They don't want to take action. You want to be successful? You're successful here because you take action. But what about your subordinates? How many times you knocking on the door and it's like, it's so frustrating. Just like at the car dealership, 3 people said, no, leave your car, leave your car. I said, no, I need the manager. It got fixed. Take action. So tell me, what do you do when you're breaking down? The leaders of the world, we have the most stress because we've got 1,000 things on our mind. We've got to manage everybody, our families, our work, the structure. It's what, 8 o'clock on whatever time zone this is, and whatever it is in Cairo, and I'm still working. While I'm here, I'm still working with one of my patients that just happened to be traveling at the same time as me. But that's okay, because that's what I do. That's what I've been assigned to do. Just like the music. But the healthcare, the metaphysics, if you don't know what metaphysics is, Dr. Carl Jung was the first real metaphysician who, in India, watched dolphins in sink jump out of the ocean, and he tried to figure out why. And he was actually the father of metaphysics. Metaphysics is the combination of psychology and spirituality. So from epidemiology and everything that had happened to me, and me opening up spiritually and watching how the world works with synchronicity, I went back at the age of 54 and got a PhD. And a lot of you are younger than that. And you want to know what's going to happen? Just keep going. Just keep living your life. It's like I said to somebody earlier, it's not like being in school where we had chapters and tests and the end of a semester and then you graduate. No, this is life. You just keep going. There's bumps in the road. I slept for most of the summer with depression and grief. I got up and worked to pay the rent. But most of the time, I couldn't breathe. My dad died. I had to clean out stuff. His girlfriend still got stuff. I mean, it's all the stuff, but you got to do it. A couple of people were there for me beyond words. And then there's days I just don't want to talk to anybody. I can't give when I don't have it. We're healers. We're givers. So tell me, what do you do when you don't have any more to give? What's your thing? What do you do when you're grieving? What do you do when you're upset? What do you do to escape? I'm coming out. I don't want to fall. Okay, here we go. Don't to your 70s. It's not like being in your 30s. Thank you. Okay. I can see all your hands are raising with just anticipation and excitement. Who wants a question answered? Or am I just going to have to pull it out of somebody? They're all like so timid all of a sudden. It's okay to be on stage and get awards. Wait till awards come. By the way, I want to tell you, when I got my award last year, and as Raul said, Dr. Raul, and I give out awards at each of the presentations as well, and I always say, your life is going to change. I'm telling you, you hold on to that Forttuna, and you have it on a shelf where you look at it, you're going to see change, manifestation or transformation, whatever it is. Being here tonight, you're going through a portal. Just like this moon, the super moon. It's a little foggy tonight, but this particular moon will not be visible to any of us till 2042. We're watching something phenomenal while we're here in Dubai. Absorb it. Okay, I love what you're wearing. So what do you do when you get crazy at work and you don't want to deal with all the crap out there and it's on your shoulders?
Shout.
Where do you shout? Where do you shout? Go to the bathroom where you close the door?
At him.
Go to him? How do you handle it?
But it's complicated.
No, it's called marriage, right?
I know she's taking out the anger at others, at me, so
Yep.
you have to be
Yep.
understanding, but it's not easy.
No, that's marriage, that's commitment, that's honesty. And then you can argue and she'll rant and rave and I hate my job and Susie said this and Mohammed did that and blah, 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 I'm gonna quit and throw it away. And the next day is perfect, right? Welcome to the business world. How long have you guys been married?
25 years to be precise.
To be precise.
We had an anniversary earlier this year.
Mazel tov, you know what that means in Yiddish, right? It means congratulations. You're welcome. Okay, who wants to say something? Who recently, besides me, has just lost somebody, like a mother, father, brother, spouse, sister? Anybody going through the grief? No? Did you sleep a lot? The body, no matter if I was on Zoom, the radio, I talked to my assistant that does all my digital marketing. I said, I can't talk, I'm nauseous. She goes, Linda, it's the grief. Go lay down. And I'd sleep. Hi.
Hello. Question, I just want to confirm what you said because
At which part? I've been talking.
about the spirituality. I am dentist and whole my life been in this road from very young age, and I can see profound impact on my patients and change their life. And what you're saying is not just be a doctor or dentist and so on. It's all about the patient well-being and connected to the patient.
You got to connect to the person. Somebody early asked me, how can you talk to all these people? And all the, the awards, the degrees, the money, the prestige. I said, they're people. They're just people.
Because I believe all my life, actually, I believe all of us is just one person in just different bodies. And we are whatever, whoever make your heart beating, make my heart beating.
Yeah, we all have red blood. We all bleed red, right? So whether it's racist, if it has to do with different religions, cultures, we're from 88 countries tonight and yesterday. 88 countries in peace. But we're on the advantage, but we're also helping some that aren't as advantaged, right? But as a dentist, you've got one of the worst jobs in the world. People hate dentists. They're scared of, the pain that you cause. But if their soul, some dentists make you feel comfortable, right?
Quite frankly, I have over 3,500 patients.
But that says something about you.
Those people who came to me at the beginning, as I said,
yeah, but it's not. It is the connection. But that's you set it up. No, but it's all because of you. So you got to give yourself.
Feel very comfortable.
Right, but a lot of people don't. I've had a lot of bad dental work. Not everybody's got the soul to do the work. So you should be congratulating yourself, which is why you're here. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Keep it up. All right, one more, and then I got to go back up there. Let's go over here. I know you were looking for me at the beginning, so what did you want to ask?
No, I didn't want to ask anything.
You just wanted to meet?
I just wanted to say hi.
Hi, okay. What do you have a question? Think of something quick.
Okay.
When you lost a parent or a grandparent, a dog, pain, grief, what did you do?
Of course, the initial reaction would be cry. Just wanted to be left alone. Yeah.
Isolation, we got to go cocoon, right?
I did have, it's not a question, maybe just like a comment. I'm a provider, I'm a nurse practitioner in the psychiatric field.
Nothing worse, right? Go on.
So, but I'm also very spiritual from young age. I don't know if it has to do with my ancestors, being from Peru. So I find very difficult when I'm talking to my patients to separate. When I'm treating the patient scientifically, psychiatric medicine.
No, this is what I've learned to do. You've got to blend it. This is where you can come to me privately and I'll help you because I did it. There's a big shift going from left brain cognitive science, your training, to bringing in God, spirituality, balance, harmony, the human potential. They might have been upset. They might have had diarrhea. They might have been in an argument with their spouse, girlfriend, or somebody's neighbor. You don't know what they came with, but you got to deal with the whole. Just like I did with the guy in Hong Kong, or the health guy, or the person I'm talking about in Cairo right now, my patient. You learn, that's why it's called holistic, it's everything. I will teach you, not now, how to do it where you don't feel guilty.
Exactly, because the main thing is how can I translate that to my patient without them saying, oh, is she crazy?
No, but what the hard part is not to be religious. It's spirit. Spirituality and religion are totally different. Spirituality is the birds, the moon, people. Religion is man-made. Keep the religion out of it, I'll teach you the secret, and you will write me in 2 months what happened, okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, this is kind of what I do for a living. We all do something for a living, otherwise we wouldn't be able to support ourselves. It's just finding out what that path is and how to stay on it, or how many times you have to change the path. Okay, here we go. 1. Okay. Thanks. So from health education, epidemiology, to near-death experiences, the woo-woo, out-of-body stuff, understanding God, radio, learning radio, broadcasting. I've had 3 broadcasting awards. Who knew? That's not what I studied at Michigan. Who knew that next month a song's going to be released by a Grammy award-winning producer? Who knew? All I do is I show up and I keep going. And for you, let me finish over here. Thank you. You know, you just got to listen to the people you work with. You got to, like, she was just explaining, how do you bring in the spiritual part when you're doing caregiving, and we got to stay clinical and professional. There's a secret, and I have that secret because I've lived it and I've learned it, and I've mastered it, which is why my career in metaphysics is so unique, because there aren't that many metaphysicians out there. There's not. I had one woman who was 102 before she died, and she compared me to Edgar Cayce, who was the sleeping prophet. She was his photographer in the 40s, and I've got a picture of them all together. So again, it just gets recycled. But listen to the people you're dealing with. We all have our knowledge. We all have our say. But you know, it's like any other chapter of life. Everything's going to reshape you. This night is going to reshape you, people. I can't tell you, but I'll bet you're going to want to reach out on LinkedIn or wherever you find me to say, Linda, you were right. Because I know what's going to happen once you get this thing home. I know what's going to happen. But like in every phase of my life, from public health to plane crash traumas to broadcasting to spiritual work to wherever I'm headed next, you know. Takes a year to go through the worst of grief. We know that. So who knows where I'll be in June again. But I just ask you to do one thing, and it's like, don't wait for the right moment. Just like I said to somebody earlier, she goes, what's going to happen? When am I going to be successful? Will I be successful? This is the moment. This is it. Do it now, because you don't know what's going to happen. Thank you very much.